The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to Post-Match Fish. No, I am not Russell Boyce, so I'll emphasise again, he's Kevin Bridges tonight with Jonathon, so I'm sitting in tonight, so I'm joined tonight, as you can see, by Connor McCann and Terry Robb. So Connor, how are you doing, mate?
Well,
I'm
a mixed bag of emotions, to be honest. I was absolutely fuming at full time, I'm not going to lie. Like, not so much at the performance, just that was there for the taking. I can't believe the scoreline at full time needs 1-1 there, but
I'm looking at some of the live chat and all, and I
suppose it's positive to say that away from home in the Champions League, to say you're so like not even downbeat. I was fuming at full time that we didn't win the game, but I suppose that's positive in some ways. You can spin it that we've went away from home in the Champions League and we're fuming we didn't get more than 1 point.
Well, we'll be dissecting that one tonight. I can suspect a lot of conflicting emotions coming from many people. But Terry Robb, how are you, mate? The face and the voice of Post-Match Fish. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad. I'm the same as Connor. A wee bit dejected and frustrated. I mean, before the draw was made, if you were told you would draw away to the pot 3 team, you'd have bit their hand off. And but the way the game's played out, I know it wasn't we were dominant for the whole 90 minutes, but we were dominant for the first 20 and we were dominant for the last 35, 40. And we had enough chances there to rack up another 9 like we did against Dundee United. But, I mean, again, we're looking for positives. We've got a point on the board. Haven't seen that Shakhtar team. I'll be very surprised if they get another point in the group. I really mean that. So I think it's a race between ourselves and Leipzig for second place. They'll not play as badly as they did last week. That was a team that I gave up for the manager. I really don't see where that Shakhtar team are going to get another point in the group. So we're on the board. We've played Madrid once. Let's hope Madrid go and give Leipzig a bit of a doing tonight. And I think if you step back from it, take the disappointment of not getting the win tonight. Step back from it. We're still in this group fighting. We still have a realistic chance of getting through.
Yes, indeed. So before we really get into the meat of that one there, because there's quite a lot to talk about as the designated driver tonight on the bus. I need to remind everybody to subscribe, like, comment, share, and all that other good stuff. And also, as you can see now in the bottom corner that way, I think it is, you see the Hoops raffle icon as well, because I've added that to the background. Yes, our sort of official partner now. We have teamed up with @Hoops Raffles on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, make sure you check them out, because yeah, they're giving away a lot of good Celtic related prizes. In fact, one of our very own bus members, the other corner on the team corner car, actually won a signed, I think it was a Kyogo shirt or a Maeda shirt last week. I can't remember which one it was.
He got the Jota one.
It was another one. Okay. But there you go. So yeah, these those are every few days, every week is it usually. So I need to get involved. Once I get payday, I'll need to get involved in one of those definitely. So it was one the other night with the Carter Vickers and Starfelt signed shirts together, so it was quite a snazzy prize. But yeah, definitely check out @Hoops Raffles. So yeah, guys, we shall get into this one. As Terry said there, we are on the board. There are positives, there are negatives. I'm very conflicted right now because on Monday night, when the Monday Club was on, I think Matthew Duff said in the chat, would you take a 0-0 at this point? And I was saying, look, I would take a draw. Going into this game, my mindset with Celtic having a bit of a sketchy record, you know, with the way they travel in Europe. And I was like, a draw, okay, guess who's on the board? Then we've got a double-header with Leipzig. Well, Shakhtar have got a double-header with Real Madrid. So you're like, okay, it wouldn't be too bad. But I think I share the sentiment as you guys and with most of the chat after watching the game actually play out in front of my eyes. I can't help but feel we've squandered that one. Started the game so well, so aggressively, right on the front foot. The whole thing that Ange talked about, we're going to play it our way. We're not going to break away from that. And we were right in about them from the very start. Even before we scored our goal in the 10th minute, probably could have had 2 goals as well, especially the one that zipped right across the goal and took a touch off the inside of the defender's heel. Now for a corner, Kyogo was basically following that in. But I'll come to you first then, Connor. But mate, how are you feeling after that first 10-15 minutes or so? And did you think we're going to steamroller them here?
Well, first 10-15 minutes, I thought, right, this is it, we've arrived. This is a level we belong at. Here we go. And it was pretty vindicated early on. We obviously got the goal. We were very, very good value for it. Shakhtar, I think, had about 3 touches of the ball in the first kind of 5-10 minutes. Yep. We've, as you say, Ange's philosophy was working. We took the game to them. We were absolutely battering them. As we did for probably about 70 out of the 90 minutes of that game, I would probably say. But as you say, if we're talking about the start, we came flying at the traps, as we have in a couple of games this year. And just, you know, I could only see one winner in the first 10 minutes. So I think that's partly where a lot of my frustration's coming from in the first 10 minutes. Me sitting on as I was on the couch this evening as a fan, I was getting quite blasé. I think, to be honest, the players get a wee bit blasé after we went 0 up, and that's maybe part of the problem we had kind of towards the end of the first half. But I was really starting to think, right, this is a level we belong at. We are looking really, really good here. We are looking every value for it, and you know, obviously as the half went on, it petered out for us. And Shakhtar, to their credit, played a decent game to kind of towards the later stages of the first half, but they soaked up a lot of pressure early on. Then kind of as the game kind of took a breather, so to speak, they started to get a feel for the ball, and then we started to see some of kind of what they're all about in terms of their counter attack and stuff. So I'll give them credit. They did come into the game well, but I just think, see that 20 minutes at the end of the first half, well, we kind of took the foot off the gas, mate. As I say, we maybe got a wee bit blasé, and that's really cost us tonight, which is... I know I'm sitting here struggling to get words out because I'm so angry. I hope I'm coming across as slightly coherent here, but
no, I understand.
Just as a half wore on, it was so frustrating. But if we're talking about the first 20-25 minutes, I mean, it's what Ange ball, as we call it, it's all about, isn't it? I mean, we're electric, absolutely electric.
Now, Terry, before the game, obviously when the team sheet came out, Abada, who's been in good form recently, was dropped for Haksabanovic, which a few people have been calling out for. He might have got a game against Livingston at the weekend. We'll never know, obviously, because of the call-off. But yeah, he was thrown in there, and he was involved actually in the first goal because it comes from Juranovic, just basically clears it right up the park. Kyogo runs back very smartly from an offside position, because if he goes for it, it would have been flagged offside. It bounced into the path of Haksabanovic, who obviously weaves inside, plays a nice wee through ball into the path of Hatate, who, it takes a wee deflection off the defenders who slides in, but hey, they all count at the end of the day. I noticed that Kyogo followed it in as well. I was very careful not to touch it though, just in case offside or VAR or anything. You just don't know what's going to intervene.
He was about 4 yards on, you know.
He was. But my first thought when I saw him back away from it, I was like, good, don't touch it, Kyogo, just in case.
I thought the same, to be honest, but when I seen it, I was like, he must have known he was onside. I'd have been goal snatching that if it was
he's used to the Scottish lines then, though, isn't he?
If it was my second game in the Champions League, I'm goal snatching that all day.
If it was in Scotland, it would have been offside.
Definitely. But Ted, what did you make of Haksabanovic? Because obviously he was involved in the goal, but he was hooked off at half time. But a mixed bag, really. What was your opinion on him getting the nod?
I thought he was okay without doing anything really spectacular. I was a bit surprised that he got a start, because we'd only really seen cameo appearances from him 10-15 minutes at the end of games. What I did find quite strange, and I'm not sure, it was obviously a tactic, but him and Jota kept swapping, and they were swapping like they weren't even staying for 5 minutes. They were swapping every 3 minutes. So he had started on the left, then within 3 minutes they'd swapped, and they just seemed to keep swapping for the whole first half. And I don't know if they were given the freedom to do that as they wished, or was that an instruction from the manager? But it certainly didn't play out in the second half then when Haksabanovic was replaced, because Maeda then took up the place on the right-hand side, which I think was quite telling as well. Is that Ange saying, look, you know, when Maeda and Jota are in the park, Jota's got to play in his preferred position. And I don't even know which chance to talk about. Jota just had so many where he was cutting in from the left-hand side, beating 3 and 4 men.
Yeah. Overthinking it a wee bit, didn't Kerry? Think he was overthinking it a wee bit?
I think the first one, he could have pulled the trigger a bit earlier. He every time he went another step, he was narrowing the angle and he sort of got blocked. The second one, I think he was a wee bit more unlucky. He went to pull the trigger, the ball sort of hit a divot.
Yeah. He
was off balance at the time, and the two things combined meant he got absolutely nothing on it. But you're just watching the net on that one, just expecting the net to burst. Go back to Haksabanovic. I thought he was all right. I was a little bit surprised that he started. Not sure. He had looked good in his little fleeting appearances, and he must have shown enough in training for Ange to throw him in, certainly ahead of Maeda, who's one of his favourites, and ahead of Abada, who, other than the Real Madrid game, he'd been in excellent form over the previous few games.
I couldn't help but think when Jota got subbed later on, and the camera kept panning to him just sitting there, and he was having like quiet reflections, like a guy having like Vietnam flashbacks or something, but he was just sitting there, and you know that he's thinking about those chances. You could just see the look on his face. He's just thinking, what could have been? Just that stunned look in his face. So he was definitely, he definitely I don't want to say he felt guilty about it, but he was definitely, you could tell it was going through his head the whole time he was sitting there after he came off, where he's like, if only I'd done this. But at the end of the day, he's still a magnificent player. And the way he weaved past those players, he's just one of those ones on the night, just one touch too many, just pull the trigger. It's easy for us to say sitting here, obviously. It's easy for us. Now,
I notice you're not giving Juranovic credit for that crossfield pass.
I said Juranovic cleared up the park. And
cleared up the park.
It was like it was a sort of 50-50 with the Shakhtar. He got it first and just...
I was prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was a pass rather than a clearance, but
I looked at the end. It was really smart from Kyogo as well, running back from the offside position, because it could have easily went the other way. Now, last week, obviously, Connor, they got that 4-1 win in Leipzig, and many people kept on pointing out that, well, 2 of their goals were a bit of a fluke. One of the things that kept getting flagged up was this team love playing on the counter-attack. They'll be more than happy to, like they did last week to Leipzig, have most of the ball, they'll hit them on the counter. And even tonight, when they were technically the home team, they weren't really, but they also had that home field advantage with the majority of fans, it was still expected that Shakhtar would sit in deep for most of the game and allow Celtic to play their own game and hit us on the counter. And I can't help but feel that maybe we ignored that a wee bit tonight, because obviously their goal is literally the first chance that they get and it's a counter attack. We're up their end, and they basically break, and it's obviously McGregor goes to try and win the ball in the middle of the parties. Unlucky, he slides for it and he just misses it, and obviously that through ball just goes in behind Juranovic, and Juranovic struggling. I've seen a few people in the comments saying that Juranovic got ragdolled tonight and struggled at times. But
I would disagree, to be honest. But
Jake, well, that's fine. Dave's all about opinions, but I'm saying Juranovic obviously was caught out with the ball in behind. That boy who was singled out as the sort of danger man, he obviously is in on goal. A seriously big burst of pace. He's right in. Do you think also Joe Hart maybe could have done a wee bit better when you see the replay of the goal?
I thought that was a terrible goal to concede. Like, if we're going to, it's an obvious thing to talk about as a low point in the game, but I thought it was a really, really poor goal to concede all in. But I know you said there McGregor's unlucky. He's not for me. He gambles when it's not there to be gambled. He should be holding his position and not letting the guy get a turn on it. Instead, he lunges in, trying to get a ball that isn't achievable, and then that's McGregor taking out the game. Obviously, it's a good pass to the winger. Juranovic is caught out, but do you know what? Juranovic's a boy with pace, so the boy had to have a lot of pace to get through it, which he did, because Juranovic is no slouch at all, as we've seen many occasions.
Yep.
And to be honest, Joe Hart was terrible for the goal. I thought channeling is in a broadcast. To be honest, I don't know what he's doing. Listen, I've never played in goal. I don't know if it's an automatic reaction, if a guy's about to shoot, if you can automatically make the dive. But literally, if he stands up, it hits him in the chest. So it's a frustrating one for me, the goal in particular. I thought it was a very, very avoidable goal. And to be honest, that is it Muric or something his name was?
MurYck, I think it was.
I took a disliking to that boy for the first few minutes of the game. I just felt like he looked like the wee kind of arrogant kid you got in school that knew he was a good player, but knew he was a player. And I was kind of annoyed he scored and all, but more the point of view, I was really disappointed in the goal. We never had too many low points in the game, but I think if we're going to be if we're going to be going into the next 4 games, it's definitely a thing to analyse, because McGregor's been too eager to go for the ball. It wasn't there really to be won. If he holds his position, it does. The rest of that sequence of play doesn't happen. And then obviously, as I've said, Juranovic is kind of unlucky. He does get caught out, but he's kind of unlucky that the guy is lightning quick. But Hart's terrible for me. And listen, I don't want to start lambasting Hart, because Hart's been phenomenal for us. I don't even think I think I can count in one hand maybe the amount of mistakes he's made for Celtic. So I'm not getting ready to lambast Hart. I just thought at the Champions League level, you've really got to be.
To be fair, Connor, I've seen the words Barkas and Hart in the comments together in the same sentence. So you've not went that far, really. You haven't went that scathing on him. But Terry, obviously we lost the goal, right? And if you've read the book of Celtic in Europe, you know that you've read this chapter before, because I was getting that sinking feeling, because after losing the goal, we just seemed to lose all composure. We were all over the place. And it cut to Ange a couple of times on the sideline, and all I'm thinking about is last week after he said, because I was impressed that he said this last week, even though it was Real Madrid, we lost 3-0, he was still quite annoyed that the players kind of lost their composure last week and sort of abandoned the game plan. And you look at the expressions on his face on the sideline, you can see he was thinking the same thing again, because we were at 6s and 7s for that, the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the first half. And even not long after they got back into the game, we got away with it, because the ball did clearly go out of play. But yeah, Marian Shved did put the ball in the net, and I was like, oh, this would just be fucking typical. They've had 2 shots on goal, they've went 2-1 up, and Marian Shved scored one of them. I'm feeling like I've read this chapter before with Celtic. But at the end of that goal was disallowed. But mate, that last 20, 25 minutes of the first half was just hide behind the couch stuff at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, I felt there was a drop off for about 10 minutes before they scored. First, same as what Connor said, first 15 minutes, we were just at it. And I turned around to my old man at 15 minutes and I said, look, this is going to be 5 or 6. And I just could not see any way that it wouldn't be. And then whether it was just a high intensity or whether Shakhtar decided to come out, it was quite a strange performance from them because they put very little into the first 20 minutes. Then they played like a decent side for 20 minutes, and then they put absolutely nothing into the rest of the match. So a puzzling one from their perspective. But a bit of a lull from about 15 minutes to round about the time where they scored. And then from the point where they scored, which I think was just before the half-hour mark, next 15 minutes, they did look like a decent side. They did step it up a gear. We were kind of hanging on. I was kind of praying for half-time, get them in, regroup. Probably at that stage where they were creating a few chances and they'd had the disallowed goal, and it was disallowed. It would have been disallowed for offside or going out. So there was never... Yeah. But there was obviously that sinking moment where you see Sven running away, celebrating, and you're going, oh, for fuck's sake. But at halftime, I kind of thought, do you know what? We started this game great, but we've stopped. And I don't know, we just looked spent for the last 15 minutes of the first half. And I didn't know if we'd be able to regroup and get back in the ascendancy again. But we were able to. But a catalogue of missed chances come the second half.
Oh, I know. But before we get there, one of the things, Connor, that was really bothering me as I was watching it was, again, I just feel like Celtic can be the victims of their own downfall so badly in Europe, and it's just so many simple mistakes, right? I say we've lost our composure a wee bit. This is a time when you need sensible heads to get on the ball, and there were so many instances during that spell where we were under the caution, even at times in the second half, where we waste possession so easily by... The ball comes to one of our players, intercept a pass, and instead of like getting on the ball and maybe thinking about it and picking a pass, they try to get it away really quickly, and all we end up doing is just causing a turnover by giving it right back to Shakhtar. And you're like, oh no, I can't believe it. So that was happening so many times, whether it was in the middle of the park or sometimes like the defence. You know, there was a sequence of play in the second half where it was just like head tennis for about 5 or 6 seconds, like we headed it. It had David Turnbull had plenty of time to take it down and control it, try to get his foot on the ball. It was like heading it away, then a Shakhtar player headed it back to him, then he headed it. It's like, just calm down. It's like this is the things that cost us in the past. But yeah, there was a few scary moments there in that sort of sequence there, wasn't there, Connor, where it's just like somebody just get on the ball and just calm down here, especially with like half time looming. You're like, don't, for the love of God, do not go in behind at half time, if anything, man.
I mean, just to go back to the Shved goal that wasn't in fact a goal. What I've heard in this podcast and other podcasts as well, Celtic's tendency to, when they lose one goal, to lose another, and we've still not got that out of our system, because it's just sheer luck that whenever conceded a second goal, it's a width of a toe, and then I don't know. What was it? 4 inches out the ball, maybe. It was clearly out, but it's very, very small margins that we've not done what we usually tend to do, especially in Europe. If we're sucker punched, we concede another very, very quickly after. But the last, well, particularly the last 20 minutes of the first half, that was our kind of extended period in the game where we've just won at it, because on the whole, I think it's a pretty good performance. I mean, there was a few comments ago saying, when was the last time we dominated a game away in the Champions League? I don't think we ever had that. I think this is the most dominant we've ever been away in the Champions League. Even when we went to Anderlecht and won 3-0, I don't remember feeling as if we were creating chance after chance. We were clinical that night, which was a big difference as opposed to the night. But I don't remember that night thinking, my God, we just they weren't able to breathe against us. Like they didn't get us. But I totally agreed with that comment. I was trying to hark back and think to any kind of performance, but I know we're trying to talk about the last 20 where we absolutely won at it, and I'm going on about
no, it's fine. No, don't worry about it.
I keep getting off on a tangent, mate. I apologise.
what I've been trying to measure is, are we making progress in Europe? And I can't decide yet if we have or not. I'll go back to last week's performance very quickly. Last week, Celtic played so much better than the night they beat Barcelona 2-1. completely
You're
different
right,
performance.
correct.
Different styles.
And
but
tonight we played so much better than we have done in away Champions League matches for a long, long time. So on that basis, I'm looking for positives here. I want to feel positive. I don't want to go to bed feeling negative. I don't want to wake up tomorrow feeling negative. I think the fact that we're disappointed that we're not winning these games, that we didn't get anything last week and we didn't get full points tonight, that in itself is a positive, because the expectation level has been raised, and it's been raised because we're seeing enough in front of us with our eyes to tell us that this team is moving in the right direction. And yeah, there was 20 minutes there tonight where I'm thinking this is the same old story. And you know what? Even going into stoppage time, I'm sitting going, I've seen this movie so many times in the last 44 years. They're going to break up the pitch here. Somebody's going to slice one into their own net or something.
There was one, I think it was like maybe 93 minutes. There was a ball kind of clipped over, and that wee pricky left winger was going in, and like I thought his right foot was getting to just clip it back to, was it Lassina Traore? The striker that I was very, very surprised he didn't start him. I thought he was. I just because I remember him at Ajax. He was kind of being spoke about in glowing terms. I thought if he can't get a game for them, they can't be that bad a team. But
aye.
Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but
that
was the moment that I thought, oh no, they're going to snatch this year, because I just thought that boy was getting his right foot and it was just going to cut across the 6-yard box and Traore was going to tap it in for them. Thankfully, it never happened, and then we actually broke up and had another one of our many chances after that.
I know tonight's show's about tonight's match, but we've had 2 roller coasters in the last week, and we're going to have another 4 roller coasters. And I think the time to judge whether we've made progress is once those 6 games are done and we see where we finish at, because there's going to be serious ups and downs over the next 4 games as well. I think we've got a break now for a fortnight in the Champions League.
Yeah,
I think
games coming up as well.
Actually, it's the 5th of October.
3 weeks.
So that's either 2 or 3 weeks, but 5th of October. I think there must be a weekend somewhere, because Madrid away is at the start of November. But
can I just get your views on that sort of 20-minute lull? Do you think it's because we blew ourselves out, or do you think it's because Shakhtar decided to come out and play for 20 minutes, given that they were behind and they were technically the home team? What's your thoughts on that?
Can I be totally honest, mate? I thought we started to believe our own hype a wee bit. Because we started the game so well and we came out. I feel as if there was maybe a wee lingering. I don't want to say cockiness and arrogance, but we're just a wee bit blasé. I thought, you can't be that. I get all right, Shakhtar on the creme de la creme in the Champions League. They're still a Champions League side, still a very good team. You can't drop down a performance level against a team like that, because as we've seen in that 20 minutes, they'll pick you apart. Nice. And that I could be totally wrong, by the way. It could have been a case that they went hell for leather and kind of burned themselves out a wee bit for 20 minutes. But for me, I thought we showed a wee bit of arrogance, and that's where that 20-minute lull came from. That's why I thought we improved again in the second half, because I thought, in my head, Ange wasn't happy with the arrogance we showed, and he's kind of drilled it into them in the second half. That's just how I see it. I could be miles off the mark with that, but that's kind of what was going through my head.
See, my feeling, Terry, is that analogy that Mike Tyson said before, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and I think we were fine. I don't think it was a case of expended too much energy, but I just think the goal just spooked us. I generally do. It's just why they find we've conceded a goal literally out of nowhere. It wasn't even a case that you could say, oh, the goal was coming, which we've seen sometimes in Europe with Celtic, where we're under the cosh and it does, eventually the dam breaks. It came literally out of nowhere, the only chance. And I think genuinely they've just lost their composure. I think in terms of energy, I'd be really surprised after 20 minutes if, the level of fitness these players are, if they were blown up by then. But I honestly, I think I'd say it's that whole thing, everyone's got a plan to get punched in the face, and that's what it felt like to me, because, and as Connor rightly pointed out, again, when you've read these chapters before with Celtic, we usually concede 2-3 goals in quick succession in Europe at times, and it felt like one of the ones, but luckily we weathered the storm, got into half-time, but that's my feelings on it, mate.
I felt we got a wee boost when the triple substitution was made on round about the 65th. I felt those guys coming on made a difference. I'll not be surprised the next few league games if we start to see a little bit of rotation in terms of the starting 11, because I've said on a few times before, Ans talks about how he doesn't have his favourite 11, but he seems to keep playing about 9 of them whenever they're available. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to mix it up a little bit, just to keep everybody on their toes, so that the likes of Hatate, O'Reilly, they don't think I'm first choice here. They need to be on their toes thinking, I still have to fight for a place every single minute of every single game here.
Well, I don't think Hatate was quite at his best. He had some lovely kind of movements in the ball, and obviously it's probably not going to get accredited to him, but he did put his 1-0 up. But
that's his goal, yeah.
I would give him it, but I just never felt as if he hit the heights tonight that he's hitting most of the other games so far. Genuinely, I thought the midfield improved when Moy came on. Like, I don't know how popular Moy is among the Boise Bus comments, but I felt we really regained control of the game when Moy came on in the middle of the park.
I think he's just start. I really do. I think when he comes on,
I don't think he's far away from it, Terry, to be honest.
I think he's just starting.
For a wee runner starts.
And even if it's only to give some of the other guys a rest. And I mean, at some point this season, I know he tends to not do this, and I'm sure Calmac wants to play every single game, but at some point, Cal McGregor's going to have to set a game out, because he's going to be playing every game for Scotland. He's going to be playing every game for Celtic. We need to know that this guy can come in and do a job, and I think he's shown enough in fleeting moments. I think he's a safe enough pair of hands to sit in that 6th role. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts one of those 2 next league games.
Well, I'm glad you brought that one up, because that was one of the points I was going to make. Because interesting, I remember I said earlier on, but I felt like some of our players, particularly in the midfield, were losing their composure. Where a steady, just get on the ball, calm it down a wee bit. Hatate was maybe looking to pass away too quickly. McGregor, O'Reilly, even guys out of defence were doing it. But when Moy came on, I genuinely thought that as well. I thought he calmed the game down a wee bit and he got on the ball, because as the game went on, obviously at half time we go in, we settle down. We come out in the second half. Now, I don't know about you guys, Connor, I was genuinely cringing every time that John Hartson kept saying, I thought it was going to be curse of the commentator, where he was like, Celtic are the only team that look like they're going to win this game. And I was I've heard this before. Don't do it.
I must have looked like a loony in my house, but I was sitting in the couch myself watching the game, and I'm like, shut up.
Me and my dad did the exact same thing.
I was like, see if I was a fly in the wall, I'd be saying, who is this one? I need to get out of here. In terms of Moy, I think when Moy came on, let's say, I think it was around about the 65-minute mark, I think we went for probably being the better team in the second half to being the totally dominant team in the second half, if I'm honest, for Moy's influence in the middle of the park when he came on.
Listen, he done nothing amazing. Let's not dress up. He done nothing amazing, but I just get the vibe that he's a player that he's certainly good enough to play for us. I know as a signing, as a 31-year-old free signing, it's not the most inspiring. However, the guy's played in the World Cup. He's played in the English Premiership, and I've always said if we're getting that player that played at that level, then we're getting a good player, albeit we're only going to get him for a few years. But he just looks like he can control the pace of a game. He looks like he can dictate what pace the game's played at. He's more than happy to sit and patrol that centre circle and let the rest of the guys pour forward. He's happy to go and take the ball off the defenders. I think he's a reasonably safe bet, to be honest.
I see the thing about you saying what he never done anything amazing. I totally agree with that. But do you know the thing I think is really good about him? His positioning's always excellent. He's always in a good position to receive the ball. Yeah. Anytime the ball breaks, which is what I've noticed domestically as well, particularly because we are basically attacking teams' boxes every game we play domestically, but every time the ball breaks, Moy's in the right position to pick the ball up and start again. I just think he's really clever in terms of his positioning.
Now we'll quickly go through. To the best of my knowledge, we'll try and remember the chances in the second half, because obviously that's going to be the headlines coming out of this game, because the second half is, as John Hartson pointed out in commentary, only one team looked like winning. At the time, as I say, I was like, shut up. But obviously in reflection, he was actually right, to be fair, because they were literally just punting the ball forward. They were hoping to hit on the counter attack. They genuinely ran out of steam. Shakhtar eventually, they were just happy to sit on a point. So the first one, obviously, I say we've talked about Jota's ones where obviously he danced by a few players. And obviously he had this quiet moment of reflection when he sat on the bench. But the two big ones that are going to come up are Giakoumakis and Maeda. Now, the Giakoumakis one for me is the worst out of the two because the Maeda one's still coming across the goal. He's got to kind of throw himself at it. But
is that the overhead kick? Sorry,
no, not the overhead kick. For some reason, John Hart
was raging.
John Hartson's raging about the overhead
kick. John Hartson's a bit. Mind the Connor Salmon one. John Hartson's a bit weird like that. Like, the guy's had an overhead kick. Now, see, to be fair, the defender's in the perfect position. The defender's in the one spot where he's going to be able to block it. So otherwise, it ends up in the net. But I honestly can't think of that other chance. So I'm trying to go through it in my head.
The Giakoumakis one was a ball that came across from the left-hand side.
The Giakoumakis one I can remember. It's a Maeda one I can't think of.
He slid in at the back post and he just didn't get a clean collection.
That was a sitter.
but obviously Giakoumakis gets time to control it and maybe pick his spot. He just bends it past the post. And
you know what? Giakoumakis has caught that too sweet. If that's come off his shin or the side of his foot and he hasn't caught it right, it probably goes in the net. I still can't believe now that it hasn't gone in.
Do you know what the most frustrating bit about it was for me? Like the Giakoumakis chance. Nobody else in a Celtic shirt in the park would have preferred that ball to land it for that chance. See in the first half when Jens had the chance, I was like, if it felt to MDL shit, but like Giakoumakis, you've not got that luxury of saying that. You're like, you couldn't have picked a better player for it to fault it. It just, as you say, 9 times out of 10, Giakoumakis is in that position and scores that. That's just the kind of night it was, I think. And obviously the Maeda one and all it. Thinking about it, I think that was a bit of a sitter, but
there was one which.
But he did have to fling himself. I thought I'll give him the credit for that.
There was one which you probably won't remember because it wasn't just as blatant as those, but there was I think it was a corner that came in and it eluded everybody, and Jota was at the back post, but he didn't expect it.
I didn't get it.
He didn't expect it. If he'd anticipated that was a great chance as well. But there was just, I don't know, there were just so many that. On another day, as I said, another day you could have scored 5 or 6, no problem.
As Patrick McLaughlin says here, in typical Giakoumakis fashion, when you think of the chaos that we talk about, if he actually scuffs that shot, it probably goes in. You're right, he's caught it too sweet. And he's had time to think about it and he's bent it past the post. But yeah, the Maeda one, as I say, was a ball zipper across the 18-yard box and he comes into the back post. Just doesn't wrap his foot around it. And he just doesn't get it right at all, does he, guys?
There was one in the first half, Phil, and we probably didn't, because we were in the ascendancy. I can't even remember if it was before or after the goal.
Was it Jens' chance? Was the one that failed?
No. Taylor crossed one right across the face of the goal, and Kyogo just couldn't get in. He was kind of at full stretch. He didn't get near it, but it was a lovely ball across from Greg Taylor, but it was too far in front of Kyogo. But you're kind of thinking at that point, that's not going to matter. That's not going to make a difference at the end. The ends one, yeah, he's a centre half, but he's already shown us he is quite composed in front of goal. If you think back to his overhead kick and things like that.
That's right.
That wasn't an easy chance either.
No, it wasn't.
He's probably put it in the only position he can put it, and the keeper's made the save. But it's just like, we could talk about chances. We could probably remember chances all night that don't.
I'm starting to come round a wee bit. I'm feeling a wee bit of positivity here. I'm starting to come round a bit.
Well, I'm kind of. I've got my kind of WhatsApp things. I've no kind of stopped them coming in. My dad and my uncle seem to be texting saying Leipzig are playing really well away in Madrid now. So they've got their act together just in time for playing us. Beat Dortmund 3-0 at the weekend. Playing very well away in Madrid by all accounts.
We definitely need Madrid to.
I don't actually know what the score is, but it could be 3-0 in Madrid.
No score.
Goalless now. But yeah, like obviously with the games one, I say he's a defender at the end of the day, but he's hit it quite sweetly. The goalkeeper saved it. But speaking of the goalkeeper, And I think I'm a bit annoyed as well. Me and my dad were saying this while we were watching it. I don't think we capitalised this enough. Their goalie didn't look up too much when it came to like holding on to the ball. There was quite a few where we had a shot at goal and he would parry it right back out into a dangerous area and nobody's anticipated it. There was one that O'Reilly had in the second half where he's had a bit of time to pick his spot. Maybe he's been looking to get more of a curve on it at the far corner. Instead, it's went to the goalie's near post. The goalie's got down. He saved it and it's rolled away to the side. And if somebody just anticipates that, but there was a few, and then there was also when the ball was at his feet. You know, we talk about how Joe Hart could be a wee bit dodgy with the ball at his feet. This guy nearly got caught out a couple of times. There was a few where I thought Kyogo was going to get him. And one in the first half in particular where Kyogo was bearing right down on him, and it was right on the goal line. He managed to clear it just in time. But yeah, there was a couple. I don't think we, anticipated, that this goalie doesn't hold on to many shots. He looked a bit clumsy with the ball at his feet, but we just didn't.
You could see from Kyogo's face, he was close. He was close to that one.
He was close, very close.
See, ironically, the goalie's first involvement in the game and all was an absolutely brilliant save. See, the save for Kyogo, and I think it was basically must have been the first minute.
That was the exact same as last week, if you remember. O'Reilly played a ball through last week. It was the one where we wanted Giakoumakis just to turn and shoot because he was clean in, but he laid it back to Abada. Whereas O'Reilly played it through this time. It was Kyogo, and the defender got across and blocked.
But as the game ran out, obviously, chance after chance. The last real chance was actually a nice ball pinged over by Aaron Moy. Giakoumakis goes for the header. The goalkeeper actually basically palms it right onto Giakoumakis, but he doesn't know much about it. Even though it's rolling towards the net, it's never going in. The defender gets back and clears it. Unfortunately, just one of the nights where just a wee bit more zip on that ball. If the goalkeeper palmed it against him a wee bit harder, it might have rolled into the net. But yeah, that just summed the night up. Sadly, we ran out of time. So the big question is this, Connor. Obviously, we can debate good result, bad result at the moment. But, we now go into a double header with Leipzig. I would say the target has to be over these two games, 4 points at the very least against Leipzig. If we want a chance of getting out of this group, whether it's third or second, we have to be looking to go to Germany. And I know they've just appointed Marco Rose and they've seemed to get their act together. But and Ange will go into that game with the same approach where it's like, we need to go out there and you'll get a positive result. But realistically, if we want to say, unfortunately, lose both games, then we are in a bit of trouble here. So we need to be targeting, I would say, 4 points at the very least here for the next two games. Then that sets us up for the Shakhtar home game because Shakhtar are playing Real Madrid back-to-back in the next two games. So you would have to think, or you'd have to hope that Shakhtar won't get any more points from they two. But how do you think with the next two games of Leipzig? What would be your sort of target for Celtic?
I think 4 points is probably bang on the money. I mean, obviously, I would absolutely love 6 points, but I do think it's going to be two very difficult games. Obviously, we're probably not going to catch them at what would have been the right time in this group. I think, obviously, Shakhtar proved in the first game. I think if we caught them in the first game, we could have really done some damage, but it's just no fault. The fixtures haven't fallen that way for us, unfortunately. Obviously, Marco Rose joined them during the week. Yeah. A guy we're reasonably familiar with, played against them a few years ago with Salzburg. His Salzburg team were very, very good by all accounts. And I think at his disposal with this Leipzig team, he's probably got better personnel. Whether he's had the time with that personnel by the time we play them to imprint and make them quite as good a team as that Salzburg team we faced, I'm not sure. But they're not going to be the team that get beat 4-1 at home to Shakhtar Donetsk. Unfortunately, it's going to be two very, very difficult games. And it maybe works in our favour that we're playing away first because by all accounts, I think they're playing Real Madrid, as I said a couple of minutes ago. So it might not be a case that they're winning the game with 0 points. But let's hope Madrid can do us a favour tonight and beat them. They're going into the game with 0 points. So all the pressure in Germany is on them, really. I know there's obviously naturally going to be pressure on us, but the pressure's really on them. If they get beat by us in Germany, that's their Champions League campaign. That's their European campaign as good as over, you could argue. So, I think if we can go over there and get a draw, and then it makes obviously the game at Parkhead an absolute slobber knocker. Is a common word in the bus.
I was trying to think of that word all week. I couldn't remember what
slobber knocker.
Indeed.
But I was actually
if they get a result tonight,
because 'Cause I seen the kind of pattern in the Bundesliga, and that obviously they hadn't started well. Obviously, naturally, now they've sacked their manager. But you look at Leipzig's squad; it's a strong squad. I'm under no illusions that it's going to. But it sounds mental to say because Shakhtar went and battered them 4-1 last week. But Leipzig's going to be a step up on what we played tonight, especially in Germany, for me.
Aye. Terry, I'm looking at Kevin Reynolds' point here, and he says at the end of it about not getting to play at the weekend, did that halt our momentum? What's your feelings on that? Do you think that getting that game against Livy cancelled if it went ahead, would that have benefited us more tonight? Or do you think we've thrown everything at it tonight and it's just one of the days? Does it really make a difference?
I don't know. Like I say, I thought at one point in the first half we looked spent, and I'm going, well, we should be fresh here. We haven't played since last week. These guys have had a game at the weekend. It's one of those ones that I think it depends on the result that you get. If you get the right result on the game after, you go, do you know what? We've benefited from not having a game. You can argue that anyway. It doesn't really matter at all because we didn't play the game, and we're not going to play it. It's done. It's a difficult one. I thought the extra day's break would have helped because I thought those guys that played against Madrid had a real punishing night, and if they had to then play again, the majority of that team had to play again on the Saturday. If I had to make a call, I would say it probably benefited us not having a game because we put so much effort into that game last Tuesday night.
It's just one of those. The night's just one of the bad days at the office. We've literally thrown everything out that we could, and just one of them.
In terms of the group, if Leipzig get any sort of result tonight, that would put a real spanner in the works for us. It's half time there at the minute, no score, and Leipzig.
I was just about to say, I'm assuming it's still 0-0, but
Leipzig have a 60% possession.
For the text I'm seeing, it seems like Leipzig have had the better of it, which is a tad concerning.
With the scenarios in our heads about qualifying and third or even second, you've got to work under the assumption that Real Madrid will win every single one of the games. If Shakhtar or Leipzig take any points at any stage off of Real Madrid, then it's like, oh, that's a spanner in the works. But Terry, obviously,
tell us this one. Yeah. Just to go off on a slight tangent. Do you think Real Madrid are the best team in Europe? Aside from the fact they won the Champions League.
Okay, well, it depends how you want to define it.
For me, they're second best at the moment. I think Man City, man for man, are the best team. And I think Real Madrid are second best for me.
I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if Madrid win all 6 matches. I really will.
Okay. That's a fair
comment. I know it's half time and Leipzig are ahead against them. And I've already said Shakhtar won't get any more points. I would struggle to see Madrid going to Leipzig and winning. If Leipzig have turned a corner, I don't know. I know they were excellent last week, and a lot of the narrative was we played against the best team in Europe, and yes, they're holding the trophy at the minute. But to me, yes, they're an excellent side. But I wouldn't say that they're the absolute best, even though they are the European champions. I probably agree with you, Connor, to be honest, in terms of Man City.
They do always have that kind of game in the group stages every year. It seems to be. Of course, last year it was they got beat 2-1 at home to Sheriff Tiraspol. So
that's it.
But they do have a kind of funny result in the group stages in the locker more often than not. So hopefully it comes against us. Hopefully it comes against us in the last game.
Hopefully they've got qualification secured. And
I was about to say I'm booked over to go to Madrid, so I'm hoping. I'm hoping they've taken the foot off the gas and play. I was going to say, I mean, their second string's going to be good anyway, but I'm hoping they play their second string gives half a chance.
They like when it comes to are they the best team? And funny enough, there's a few people in the chat that are saying no, and a couple saying yes. So you've got a bit of debate going on there, Terry. Throw a wee grenade in there, but obviously they've got the trophy. They literally says they are the champions of Europe. So on that assumption, you would say, well, they must be the best. But when it comes to I heard somebody on another pod saying that Real Madrid, this team, they haven't got much in the way of, like, compare it to a few years ago, right, when it was Barca and Real going at it toe for toe in La Liga. You had Ronaldo on one side, Messi on the other, but you had that forward line of Suarez, Neymar, Messi against Benzema, Bale, and Ronaldo, and it felt like both teams were just little superstars. This Real Madrid team doesn't feel like it's the Galacticos either, but they're very good, like, workmen essentially. Like, look at last season; they were on death's door in the Champions League in every single knockout round, and they found like a late comeback pretty much every time. They got by, was it PSG, Chelsea, Man City, and then they beat Liverpool in the final. And it's like, but in terms of like the actual the play, probably a team like Man City on their day or Bayern are like a more sort of destructive force. But Real Madrid are just that sort of cunning old fox that know how to get it done.
It was just last year they should have been gone. They should have been gone 3 or 4 times last year, and they just found a way to win it. It was amazing.
Aye. Because I actually watched the Bayern Barca game last night. Bayern were pretty good. So
could even argue that at Parkhead last week, but there was plenty of opportunities for them to be a goal or two down, but they stuck with their task and eventually found their way through and dealt with the game pretty comfortably as soon as they got 1-0.
But I do have that feeling, Terry, like you said, there's a feeling that they won't win all the games because this isn't simple. Celtic never seems to go simply for Celtic. I say, if you work under the assumption, well, Real Madrid will win all the games and we don't need to worry about them, you just know that there'll be a spanner in the works somewhere. So
I still think very, very strongly. I cannot see that Shakhtar team finishing second in the group. Having watched that 90 minutes tonight, I don't see any way they finish second. And as long as Leipzig get beat tonight, we're a point ahead of the other team that could potentially finish second.
See if we're taking Leipzig out the equation for a second, we really should be going ahead of Shakhtar in terms of head-to-head. We should get level in points with them at home.
If we can't beat them at home, there's something seriously wrong.
We should be level in points and we should have the better head-to-head at home, which would put us above them in the table. Like, I should say, listen, I didn't think they were a bad team at all. I thought they were actually better than I was expecting them to be, considering how many players have essentially been forced to sell due to what's going on over there. But they actually still had quite a few decent players. I did think they were a decent enough team, but as you say, we've not taken advantage of having most of the game tonight. We can't afford to do that at Celtic Park as well against them. Definitely. And listen, there's 2 massive games before that anyway, so it's a long way down the line. Probably the 2 biggest games we're going to have in the group stage are to come in the next couple of games.
Indeed. So. Well, that's what I was going to say to you, Terry. Like, I seen a comment I had up earlier on from David Kelly just saying that if worst case scenario after 3 games we're only on 1 point, it puts so much pressure on us to win the home games, and a lot of fans are basically like, we will win the home games, but we've had a bit of a rough time of it in recent years, and we've talked about this loads of times on the bus about Fortress Celtic Park and how we get that back. Looking at Shakhtar tonight and the way they played, I've already got it in my head that we should be putting them away in the second meeting. Obviously, Leipzig's still an unknown quantity and we get to play them, but how important is it, man, that we do finally get the winning formula back at Celtic Park in a few weeks when we're playing Leipzig and I say Shakhtar not long after it, because it is going to come to that. You win the 2 games plus the point we've got tonight, that's 7. If we get anything away in Leipzig, as Connor said, if Real Madrid be nice to us in the final game and they've qualified, maybe put a wee second string team out, that would do us a favour, hopefully, or all. We could maybe get something, but yeah, the 2 games with Leipzig and Shakhtar at home, it's like got to win. Like, failure's not an option there, is it?
Yeah, I mean, after watching that tonight, it's pretty inconceivable that we don't beat those guys at home. But if we don't beat Shakhtar at home, we don't deserve to go through, and that's the long and short of it. True. I think the key game will be the next two the key games. If we can get a draw away in Germany, regardless of performance or how many chances we miss, if we come away with a point by hook or by crook, and we then beat those guys at home, then we're in pole position. Even if we come out of the 2 games with Leipzig on an even keel, 2 draws or 1 win each, still gives us something to play for in the last couple of games.
Two draws probably wouldn't be the worst thing. It could end up being like the worst ever getting through the group stage ever for whoever goes through, because you could end up going through with 6 points or something. But two draws.
I know a team that went through with 6 points one time many years ago. You might be a bit too young for it, Connor, but our pals across the city one time qualified.
Is that all they? I can remember them, because they ended up in the same group as that team we faced in the qualifier, that Up Media, didn't they?
They
ended up the same group as I
think
never
it was
realised.
Villarreal put them out in the knockout stages, but they got through.
To be honest, I didn't actually realise you only get 6 points that year. But like, listen, if it ends up being 2 draws between Celtic and Leipzig, we could be seeing a scenario where 6 points could be enough to send you through. But listen, it's.
I think a good scenario I would accept would be going into the last game, you're guaranteed third and you have a chance of second. I'd be happy with that.
Aye, as David Kelly saying, they'll finish bottom. It's a failure. Shakhtar have lost their best players and having to play their home games away from home. We must finish above them regardless of performance. Yeah, third place, I say, the start of the group, and I think many fans were the exact same, saying if we can get any European football after Christmas, that's good. But when the draw was obviously made, it was like, oh, by the way, second place could be on the table here. So as long as we get third, I would be more than happy with that. And I agree, if we don't finish ahead of this Shakhtar team in particular, then man, that's a real open goal that we've missed there with that one. But yeah, guys, we're coming up to the hour mark anyway. So let's just do our sort of final thoughts on it. So Connor, obviously when you came on, before we even started, you said you need to take a wee chill pill.
Oh,
Camden, how are you feeling 56 minutes later? Are you starting to calm down? Are you starting to think, you know what? Maybe this point won't be too bad, or are you still like, nah, that was 2 points lost there?
Do you know what? But I've actually loved having the chat and the digression with you, to be honest.
It helps to talk.
It's brought my mind back round to but I don't know if it's came across. I don't know if it came across as very coherent. The comments can help.
Go on, lad. Let all that rage out, mate. Go on.
But it's listen. We should have won the game tonight. Let's be honest. And I thought, as I say, if I was a fly in the wall watching me sitting on the couch watching that game and all my antics, I'd have been thinking, this gaff isn't for me. I need to get out of here. This guy's a winnie. But it's one of the frustrating nights. But as a comment earlier, rightfully said, when was the last time we dominated a game away in the Champions League? And I don't think we ever really have. I think that's by far the most dominant we've ever been away from home in the Champions League. Yes, we've only got 1 point for 2 games. It's on paper not the best start, but we're seeing our philosophy starting to work. I mean, we've played Angie's way tonight, and we're massively frustrated not to win the game. But we've came away with what in many other years would have been a very, very positive result. We've got 2 massive games coming up, and do you know what? The best thing we can say is we know we've got the manager and the team. We're going to go out and try and win these games. We're going to go out to win these games. So, we're going to put everything into it, and let's hope we get the version of Leipzig that played Shakhtar at home rather than the version of Leipzig that seems to be playing very, very well away in Madrid just now.
That's it. Definitely shoots of progress there. And Terry, what about yourself? You've been saying a few times that you want to try, look at the positive side. So how are you feeling after getting a chance to talk about it, that therapy session? How are you feeling, mate?
Listen, this is a roller coaster that's Glasgow Celtic. This is why we love them. This is why we keep coming back. And you know what, lads? We're at it again on Sunday. There's no rest. This week's games are going ahead, as far as I know, and we're back to league duty. And we need 3 points on Sunday, and we'll worry about Leipzig whenever it comes around. I'm okay now. There's nothing we can do. The game's done. You know what? We've got a point. We're on the board. It's still in our hands. Let's just. I think if we keep playing the way we are, put it like this: if we keep creating the chances the way we have done in these last 2 games. We said this in the league. Somebody's going to get a doing. Somebody's going to get a doing in this Champions League as well if we keep creating that many chances that we have done over 2 games. Yes, we haven't took them. On another night, we score a bucket load. So I'm okay. I'm over it. Yeah, I'm already thinking about St Mirren.
Good man.
We could digress on it. We have played very, very well tonight, apart from a small blip at the end of the first half. Sorry. This ultimately cost us 2 points, but listen. After this chat, I'm going to choose to look at it positively because, oh my God,
Connor,
I was nearly at a point where I was like, I don't know if I can come on. I think I was embarrassed myself.
I was thinking that as well. I was sitting going, do we really have?
I was sick, man.
Do we really have to go on? I'm sitting here just going, I'll go on, Phil. Send us a message, send us cancelled.
It's always that's the thing when we do these shows, though. You know, like you come on after a result, you know, it's very emotional. You have so many thoughts are going through your head. At the start of the show, I said to you guys, I was quite conflicted before we came on there. I was like, before the game, if you told me we get a point, I'm always quite happy to take a point with film in Europe. After watching it pan out, I'm like, we should have got something there. But as you say, Terry, we can't control it now. We move on to St. Mirren and we'll deal with Leipzig when it rolls around.
It's good to talk, lads. It's good to talk.
Yeah, it's not post-match pitch, it's post-match therapy now. That's what it is. It's going to be post-match therapy from now on.
Connor, I'm just glad I'm in a little bit better shape than I was the last time I spoke to you.
But remember, you are the voice of post-match pitch.
You were fine when you spoke to me, but I think you were out for another 6 hours afterwards.
Yes, it was a good one to say the least. It was definitely a good one for Terry. He had the time of his life, didn't he? You're absolutely loving it, mate.
As long as I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Nobody else says.
But guys, we'll call it obviously in the next couple of minutes. So yeah, folks, just again to remind you, because we're just over the 100 people watching. Just to remind everyone that's watching to, if your first time discovering the bus, then feel free to subscribe, like, comment, share, all that other good stuff. And as our sponsor logo is down in whatever corner it is, Hoops Raffles, check out them on Twitter and Instagram as well. So as for the bus for the rest of the week, Thursday night forum, I don't think if this was Tuesday or Wednesday. So many people kept saying that we're playing Shakhtar on Tuesday. Even Russell said it to me. He messaged me the other day and went, "You the post-match pitch on Tuesday?" And I was like, is it no Wednesday we're playing? And even on Monday Club that night, him and Jonathon kept saying Tuesday, and I was like, I'm now second guessing myself here. When are we actually playing?
You could have done it on Tuesday, but it would have been a long time after our last game.
I know. I would be. I go back to Real Madrid again. I will just just predict the Shakhtar game. But we've obviously put down. So tomorrow, Thursday night forum, we'll be back. Russell will be on that. So he's at Kevin Bridges tonight with Jonathon. So that's why.
I'm the same tomorrow night.
You're doing Kevin Bridges tomorrow night, okay?
That's why I'll not be on the TNF. I'm saying that as if I've regularly been on lately. I've been away in my hollybobs lately. So.
Russell will find us something.
I will be back on the TNF at some point.
I know you do night shift as well anyway, so that's obviously going to conflict. You had a holiday recently, so it's been the perfect storm. But yeah, TNF will be on tomorrow. Friday night, I'll be back doing Nostalgia. Scott Howe has literally just asked in the comments, what year is Nostalgia this year? It is the 97-98 season, as you've said, Scott, 98. So that is the Wim Jansen stopping the 10 season. We've signed a Swedish striker called Henrik Larsson. You may have heard of him. He may have went on to do something quite good in his career. But I'll be talking about the 97-98 season on Friday. And then we're playing on Sunday.
My first full Celtic season on this earth.
Oh, wow, okay. But too young then to get you on, Connor, to talk about it? You don't that many fond memories?
I think I would have been 5 months old when that season started.
Okay, maybe a bit too young, yeah. A bit too young. But that's our plan for Friday. It's Saturday. Well, Russell's done a few shows recently on a Saturday. I'm not going to promise he's going to be on Saturday, but he has just out of nowhere dropped a show live on a Saturday night, just talking to the camera. He might do it, he might not, I don't know. But Sunday, obviously, we're playing St. Mirren, so post-match Pish will be back for that. So, yeah, a lot is still to come on the bus this week. So, I want to say thank you to Connor and Terry for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
It's a good therapeutic session, as I said. Got a lot out there, channeled a lot of that aggression. Hopefully Celtic can channel some aggression, some frustration on Sunday, get a comprehensive result against St. Mirren. And yeah, guys, we're out of here. So thanks everyone for tuning in. And just again, to remind you all to do all the good stuff like liking and sharing and commenting it. And we shall catch you all later. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. What a sell.
Comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now. And you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.